Hey folks, we're glad you could join us on yet another conversation on Business Redefined. This is your weekly most comprehensive look at the world of business, finance, and economics. Family-owned enterprises are key players in this economy and across the continent. And many times, they don't have solutions curated to the peculiarities of their needs. But one bank is addressing that matter, and that is Stanbic Bank. And we're privileged to have Florence Wanja, the regional head for business and commercial banking. I hope I got that right. Fantastic. Yes. Florence, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Second time here, not really a stranger, right?
Not at all.
Wonderful, wonderful. Karibu sana. So Florence, what is the state of play for family-owned ventures? There's a lot happening at the macro level, at the micro level. What are you seeing?
So family-owned businesses are the cornerstone of the economy. And they're equally impacted by what we're seeing in the geopolitical space, the macro space. And as a bank, we feel we do have a huge responsibility to support them during times such as this. As a bank, our purpose is to drive Kenya's growth. And if we rightfully say that family-owned businesses are the ones that are driving Kenya's growth, then we have a huge responsibility to support them to navigate some of the challenges that they are going through at this point, alongside other companies, corporate companies, sole props, are all being impacted by what we're seeing in the geopolitics space.
So tell me, many family-owned ventures will tell me that financiers, players, whether it is banks, whether it is SACCOs, don't really understand our needs. We need patient capital. We are still struggling with getting our structures in order, but we don't seem to be getting the hand-holding that we need. How is Stanbic addressing that?
So as Stanbic Bank, we did see this as a huge opportunity and a responsibility as well in terms of how we support these businesses. And what we've done is to anchor our proposition around an advisory-led model. Yeah. And this really entails us going way beyond providing financing to these family-owned businesses. I think typically as a bank, or banks typically will offer working capital facilities, they'll offer financing solutions to these companies. But we feel that these companies need a lot more. They need to be handheld to be able to navigate some of the challenges or the unique challenges that family-owned businesses face, and sometimes which impact their ability to scale and to grow. So we have curated a proposition that then supports these businesses to be able to navigate some of the challenges, but more importantly, to also be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented in the economies in which they operate, so that they can be able to offer some of the services that they offer, but also to be able to scale and go beyond the borders of this country.
And one of the big challenges that they face is what you call key man risk. I'm running the business as the head of the home. Mm-hmm. If anything happens to me, and I have challenges in executing my mandate, then the business begins to become shaky. How does Stanbic Bank help with succession, if I could put it that way, and also just the building and formalization of structures for this kind of enterprises?
Yeah. So we do start our engagements first by understanding these businesses. And understanding means understanding their purpose, understanding the ambitions that they have. And then from there, we then are able to provide them with, the right advice so that we're able to, they can actually be able to realize those aspirations that they have. Ownership is obviously what differentiates a family-owned business from any other. So you find a family-owned business will mostly be owned by, a family member or family members. In most instances, they also have those family members managing those businesses. So they're the ones who are running the operations. But with that comes certain challenges or limitations.
Absolutely.
So what then we do is we work with the founders and, try to help them to appreciate the need for them to actually put in the right governance structures. And the right governance structures not only make the business sustainable, because then if the founder is not there, the business can carry on, but they also open a lot of opportunities for these companies, because with the right governance structures, then you're able to actually attract more capital. You find that if you want to scale, you probably will, you can access financing not only from banks, but also from other financiers. But most financiers are nervous if the governance structures are not right. And that's how we are partnering with these family-owned businesses, so that we can be able to help them to actually appreciate the value of actually embedding the right governance structures, putting in place the right board, a board first and foremost, bringing in the right people with the right skills in the board, but also more importantly, being able to actually diversify the management team so that they also have diverse management, so that they're able to bring in the right skills to enable and to set these businesses up for scale. So we have seen some very good reception coming in from family-owned business owners, because they're also looking at the huge opportunity that the continent presents. We are seeing most of these businesses looking to go, to expand, within the region and even more towards the rest of Africa. And that then means that they have to operate differently. They require more capital to be able to do that, and to be able to attract that capital, then they need to be governed differently. The other challenge that you find these family-owned businesses face is aspects around succession. Again, as a bank or as banks, we want to ensure that when we support these businesses, if that founder or the vision carrier is not there anymore, that this business can actually continue. But the interesting thing is that when family-owned businesses are set up, one of the key aspects of a family-owned businesses is that most of these owners set up these businesses with the intention of actually setting up intergenerational businesses. And with that, then succession becomes a very key element in terms of being able to pass this business from one generation to the other.
Next. So tell me, if I'm running a family-owned venture and I'm watching this and I'm thinking about, I need solutions from a bank, and I'm thinking about Stanbic Bank, where do I start? How do I go about it, and what sort of expectations should I have?
So we do have relationship managers. As I said, our model is anchored around advisory services. So these relationship managers will not only be looking at your funding needs, they also will support you in terms of just being able to appreciate first where you are, really understanding deeply what, the ethos of your business, the values against which your business is set up, your long-term aspirations as well, and also just appreciating that sometimes it's not just long-term growth that you're pursuing, but the aspect around wanting to set up businesses that are intergenerational, wanting to set up businesses that perhaps go beyond the borders of this country. Then on the back of that, then we're able to then have the right conversation, bring in the right advisors to be able to actually enable you or to address some of those challenges. And our model around family-owned business proposition has actually incorporated bringing in partners, because we also do appreciate that we may not have all the expertise within the bank. So we are working with, the big four, some of the advisory firms in the country. We are working with audit firms, reputable audit firms as well. We are working also with the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We are working with, DFIs. We are working with private equity funds, because we do appreciate that for us to be able to provide holistic solutions, we need to bring in, all the partners that could actually support these businesses to be able to meet the different needs that they may have at different points in the growth journey of these enterprises.
As you talk about the spectrum of partners you work with, and that's quite encouraging, some family-owned ventures will tell you that, yes, we need capital, but we feel that we don't need debt. What we need is equity financing, because we need someone who will not only bring in the capital, they will come in with their expertise in terms of governance and market entry and what have you. Is that a space which Stanbic Bank looks at? And I'm asking that because I know also on the side you have SBG, which supports this kind of things.
Yes, indeed, it's a space that we look at, but I would almost say maybe 30% of family-owned enterprises are in that space. 70% are those who still believe in the plain vanilla debt financing solution. And sometimes that's why you find these businesses having challenges at the end of the day, because if you bring in the wrong form of financing, then down the road, that could actually impact your business ability to even service that debt. So in our advisory-led model, then we have those engagements with customers to help them appreciate when to bring in, debt, when to bring in, private equity. In some instances, you probably need to even bring in, different other forms of funding, including, maybe long-term financing that would come from DFIs. So we are seeing quite a bit of transition. And I would almost say, like, we've seen some family-owned businesses that really have a very good appreciation of private equity and the role that private equity plays. I think we've seen that in the education space, as an example. We've seen a number of schools today, actually exit. Founders exit and bring in private equity funds. We've seen the same as well playing out in the health space. We are starting to see that also playing in the manufacturing space. And again, depending on the subsectors. Again, you find that there are some subsectors that are really ripe for private equity financing. But the conversation is actually much needed because we are still at that point where most enterprises do believe that they want bank debt and not even long-term debt, overdrafts,
I see.
which sometimes put these businesses into serious trouble down the road.
Tell me, for those who always raise the question that we are family-owned, we don't even have our books really in order. And when you go to a bank, especially a tier one player like Stanbic, one of the things they will ask you is we need visibility of your cash flows and your balance sheet and what have you. How do you help those guys?
Yeah. So, and maybe I'll start with first maybe defining the family-owned businesses. So, family-owned businesses can be very small or very large.
True. Yeah.
Remember what I said earlier, that when a family-owned business is set up, one, it's about ownership. The second piece is around management. But the most important piece is about setting up a business that will actually be intergenerational. So most of these businesses, when they're set up, the intention is to pass this business from one person to the other. So you may find that some that are small, some that are quite large. And I think globally, we also do have an appreciation that some of the large entities that we see on the global platform are actually family-owned businesses. Colgate, Ford, Mars, Walmart, all those are large family-owned businesses. Now, so in that space, you'll find, of course, some that are very well structured, have, their books are in place, they have the right professionals that are actually supporting them along the line. But then there are also those very small ones that would almost be family-owned, but they are more on the SME space. So those particular ones, again, we do also support them to be able to actually have an appreciation of why it's important to have the right, books of accounts in place. Because again, when they come to the banks, they can, if you don't have the right structures, again, it limits how much you can grow.
Yes.
So corporatizing your entity, however small, actually unlocks a lot more opportunities for yourself, both business as well as capital. So we also do work with those small family-owned businesses that would almost be in the SME space. And in that space, again, we find a way of supporting them differently. As they grow, we are able to also solution for them, even when they don't have those book of accounts. So sometimes you'll find we'll look at turnover-based lending to enable them to actually access that capital at the onset so that they can continue to grow as they continue to formalize.
That's a good point to segue into for those who, and majority of businesses now will tell you, cash flows are really tight. We might be invoice rich, but when we look at our bank statements and accounts, clearly there's a misalignment there. And many are looking for solutions which can help them tide through this season. So first of all, what's your assessment of the season we are in? It looks like many are really struggling. And two, then how do you help businesses, especially family-owned ones, address this challenge?
So I think we've come a long way. If I look at 2026, maybe compared to 2024-25, we've seen private sector credit growth actually increase. So at least that's a good indicator. The macros have also been quite favorable for businesses as well. We've seen interest rates stabilize, or rather really come down, and we've seen also FX rates stabilize. So yes, the businesses are probably facing a bit of a challenge, but I think I would almost say that
it's getting better.
It's getting a bit better. But obviously, there are aspects around what we've seen in the Iran-Israeli war that again have impacted, they've impacted supply chains as well, as also maybe the cost of fuel as well has gone up. So yes, there's some challenges as well these businesses are facing, but we work closely with them to enable them to have the right solutions. I think you talked about cash flow versus, invoices. So the
Yes,
businesses is
yes.
there. So in some instances, some of the solutions that we offer some of these customers would also include, sometimes presenting those invoices, and we unlock the cash for them so that they're able to then continue to run their businesses. In some instances, they may have contracts, but they don't have the cash. So we're also able to extend contract financing so that they're able then to deliver deliver the job, and on the back of that, then they can then unlock cash flows down the stream. But also we work also very closely with the bigger corporates to also be able to give them solutions that enable them to also unlock opportunities for their supply chain, so to speak. So again, it's an interesting space, but as a bank, we are constantly looking at how we innovate so that we can be able to unlock value for both the anchor, if I may call the large corporate as the anchor, and the suppliers or the distributors as well.
Okay. Florence, you cover the regional stable, so that is East Africa. Are these markets looking homogeneous in terms of trends? Are they looking different with the peculiarities unique to Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania? When you take a regional view for family-owned businesses, what are some of the salient issues you're seeing across?
Yeah. I'd almost say the trends are similar, are the same. And interestingly enough, as a region, we do have a very well-integrated economy.
Yeah.
But also we find that most of the family-owned businesses that operate in Kenya also are operating across the region.
Okay.
And in that sense, then a lot of times when we solution for them here, you find you're solutioning for them here, but also unlocking opportunities for them into Uganda, into Tanzania, into Rwanda, and the wider East Africa space. Yeah. So the challenges and the opportunities are the same across East Africa, but of course, we've seen very good growth coming in from Tanzania. So again, a number of businesses that are setting up in Tanzania also looking at some of the emerging sectors as well. Mining is a big sector that we're seeing emerging in Tanzania. Hospitality as well is also a big sector that we see. In Uganda, again, it's agribusiness that we see. Logistics, again, cuts across more across the region. Yeah. So again, you'll find the challenges will tend to be the same, but also the opportunities could be a bit different depending on what is really driving the growth of each of the countries across the region.
I see. Florence, our time is fast spent. We need to be dialing this down. What would be your parting shot for the family-owned businesses on the one hand, and also two, from a policy perspective, what sort of initiatives or interventions do you feel could help just catalyze this segment of the economy because of the criticality it plays?
Yeah. So I think for me, my parting shot would really be more calling out to the family-owned businesses to really take advantage of the opportunities that are presenting themselves across the continent. I think over the last 5 years or so, we've seen supply chains really being disrupted. And I think that then presents an opportunity for us to build large-scale businesses across the continent so that we can actually be self-sufficient as a continent. So as a bank, when we say Africa is our home, we drive her growth. That's what we are aspiring to do, to partner with these family-owned businesses so that we can actually open up opportunities for them, open up markets for them across the markets in which we operate, but also support them along the way so that even as they go into those markets, they're able to navigate some of the challenges that are presented in those markets as they tap into the opportunities. So there's huge opportunities we see across the continent, and these businesses need to be set up in a way that they can actually be able to attract the right capital so that they can be able to take advantage of the opportunities to scale. I think we do need to see African businesses, African family-owned businesses also really scale and go beyond the continent. As I said, some of the big names that
are actually family-owned.
Exactly, family-owned. So we need to see, some of the family-owned businesses that are operating in Kenya, scale and become global entities.
Okay. And from the policy?
From the policy side, I think, again, there's a lot of support that, these family-owned businesses require. And The support, I think we've seen some of that support coming in, even from the government. I think as I mentioned, interest rates have have come down significantly.
Yeah.
So that's critical for these businesses to scale. We've seen exchange rates also stabilize as well. That's also important. I think the other piece is just around the tax, the stability just around the tax policies as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
Because we do see this as a big disruption to these businesses, because again, they're not as sophisticated as a corporate. So sometimes
And there are changes every year.
when the changes keep coming in, you find that could actually be a setback to some of these businesses, and some of them could face serious tax liabilities,
Yeah,
so to
yeah.
speak. But again, in our advisory-led model, we're also working as well with partners to actually bring in the right expertise to these businesses, so that they are first of all informed and aware of these challenges,
Yeah.
or these changes, so that then they can be able to make the right decisions down the road.
All right. Tax exposure, something which many of us overlook until it gets down the road and it becomes a huge liability on our businesses. We've been whipping through the landscape of family-owned enterprises across East Africa with Florence here from Stanbic Bank, giving us some perspective into how the lay of the land is, what are some of the solutions which are curated to enable these businesses to access not just the financing they need, but the hand-holding beyond financing to enable them to build structures, think about succession, and ensure they are able to scale sustainably. Keep it Business Redefined for more on this in subsequent episodes.